Welcome guys, in today's video I'll show you exactly how to set up the new custom sensitivity settings as well as the new ADS Gyroscope sensitivity in order to become a better player on the battlegrounds. But first, make sure you leave a like so the algorithm grants you pro PUBG Mobile skills. Let's begin. The biggest problem with the general sensitivity settings prior to update 1.5 is that they were very limited because the same scope sensitivity was applied to all weapons. Long-range scopes could be used for full auto sprays, which requires high sensitivity for recoil control. Unfortunately, this same sensitivity would apply to bolt-action sniper rifles, which results in decreased accuracy with a single shot. You can find a middle ground for sensitivity that balanced your performance in precision and recoil control, but neither of those would be perfectly optimized. Fortunately, with the new custom sensitivity settings, you can now set a different sensitivity for each weapon. This allows you to optimize low sensitivity for weapons that require precision and high sensitivity for weapons that require control. Now you can have the perfect sensitivity without adjusting it in the middle of a match. Also, if you're a full gyro player, there's a new sensitivity section called ADS Gyroscope that applies only when you are shooting. It can be useful in the same weapon to maintain a low sensitivity when acquiring a target so that the moment you start shooting, you automatically use a higher sensitivity for good recoil control. Custom sensitivity calibration. It is incredibly difficult to perfectly calibrate general sensitivity, but now that there is an individual configuration for each weapon, it can seem overwhelming to fine-tune absolutely everything. Fortunately, the method I developed will save you a lot of time as it simplifies the whole process by dividing the weapon types into categories. First of all, you need to have adjusted the general sensitivity because this will serve as the basis for configuring each weapon. I will use Gyroscope to demonstrate the method I use to calibrate my custom sensitivity, but if you're a non-gyro player, don't worry, you can simply do the same with your normal finger sensitivity settings. From now on I will use two terms, aiming sensitivity and animation sensitivity. If you're a non-gyro player, this is aiming sensitivity and this is animation sensitivity. If you're a full gyro player, this is aiming sensitivity and this is animation sensitivity. I'm only going to calibrate the scopes with magnification. The rest of the settings are basic and should be the same on all weapons. These three firearm types don't need a custom sensitivity setting, so we're not going to calibrate them. This also applies to the Uzi and Thompson submachine guns because they cannot equip a magnified scope. Let's begin. Calibration for assault rifles. This type of weapon is divided into three categories. We will start by calibrating conventional assault rifles. The scopes we will focus on will be these. Choose any of the conventional assault rifles. In my case, I will use the SCAR L. Remember that you can use the collapse button to see your settings more clearly. You can also use this button in the training grounds to adjust your sensitivity without entering your settings. Conventional assault rifles have fairly stable recoil and very high bullet velocity, so it is optimal to calibrate the sensitivity for full auto recoil control. Choose your favorite sight. In my case, I will start with the 4x scope. This is the basic exercise to improve precision. You will see it frequently. Use it to only adjust your aiming sensitivity. Take your time and repeat it until you find a value that you feel comfortable with. This is very important. Fire an entire magazine at your target to set your animation sensitivity. The idea is to have the majority close to the center regardless of the horizontal deviation. All sights in this category are used for full auto recoil control, so you have to repeat this method with the remaining scopes, in my case the 3x and 6x. After adjusting all the sights, copy the sensitivity of the weapon that you calibrated to the rest of the weapons in its category. To do this, simply press the Add button to open the weapon selection, choose another weapon in the same category and press Copy Configuration. Choose the weapon that you already calibrated to copy its sensitivity. In my case, it's the SCAR L. Now you should have the same sensitivity of the weapon you selected. Repeat this with all conventional assault rifles. Conventional assault rifles have variations in the recoil depending on the weapon you use. If you want to calibrate each separately, make sure you only modify the animation sensitivity. Let's now calibrate the heavy assault rifles. The scopes will be the same. Heavy assault rifles have quite unstable recoil, so you will be forced to change the way you shoot depending on the scope you use and the distance to your opponent. I have assigned a specific purpose to each sight, so the method is different depending on which one you use. The 3x scope. This sight has low magnification, so it is used primarily for full auto spraying. In this case, the calibration process is the same as with conventional assault rifles. First, copy the sensitivity of a conventional assault rifle to the AKM. You're going to use this weapon to calibrate your settings. Fire a whole magazine at your target to set animation sensitivity. Focus on keeping your reticle within the white square. Shoot these targets in single fire mode. Focus on always transferring your reticle to another target after the shot. This exercise is to adjust your aiming sensitivity. That way you'll calibrate for fast accuracy. The 4x scope. This sight is for medium range, so it's used to shoot in full auto or single fire depending on the distance to your opponent. Fire a whole magazine at your target to set animation sensitivity. Focus on keeping your reticle within the white square. Shoot in single fire towards your target at a comfortable speed. Make sure to keep your shots within the black circle. This exercise is only for adjusting your aiming sensitivity. The 6x scope. This scope is mainly used for tapping at long distances. That way you can take advantage of the high damage that heavy assault rifles inflict if you shoot your opponent in the head. Shoot at this target in single fire mode and make sure you can keep each shot comfortably within the black circle. Use this exercise to optimize your recoil control by adjusting your aiming sensitivity in conjunction with your animation sensitivity. These two have to be the exact same in order to maintain stability in your shots. This is because animation sensitivity is activated briefly during a single shot. In full auto it works constantly, but in single fire it only works for a fraction of a second. This causes a terrible inconsistency that will worsen your single fire recoil control if you have animation sensitivity set too differently. Let's now calibrate the semi-automatic assault rifles. The method is the same for all scopes. Semi-automatic assault rifles are optimal at medium range and single fire, so they are used as though they were a light DMR, with the difference that they are fired very rapidly. First off, copy the sensitivity of any conventional assault rifle. Choose whichever scope you want. The method is the same for all, so make sure you repeat it with each one. Shoot the target as fast as you can at a consistent speed that you are comfortable maintaining. Adjust your aiming sensitivity in conjunction with your animation sensitivity until you can do it effortlessly. Finally, copy the sensitivity to the MK47. Machine gun calibration. This type of weapon has two categories, light machine guns and heavy machine guns. We're going to calibrate them together. First, copy the sensitivity of conventional assault rifles to the DP28 and M249. These are the relevant scopes. The DP28 differs from the rest because it is very easy to control, so you simply need to use this exercise to adjust the animation sensitivity. The M249 is more difficult to control and it has a much larger magazine. That's why it is optimal to start tapping when you lose control over the recoil. That way you can maintain precision over your target. First, repeat the same DP28 exercise to get optimal animation sensitivity. Now calculate the difference between animation and aiming sensitivity. You have to maintain this difference while adjusting them in conjunction. If you raise 10% for one, do the same with the other. If instead you subtract it, repeat it with the other one. It doesn't matter if they're not the same value, just focus on keeping the same difference when adjusting them with this exercise. To optimize your ability to tap accurately, you have to keep your shots within the black circle. When you get the perfect sensitivity for the M249, copy it to the MG3. Submachine gun calibration. Submachine guns fire in full auto, so simply copy the sensitivity of conventional assault rifles. Now, in your submachine gun sensitivity, make sure to match animation sensitivity with aiming sensitivity. This is because the recoil from submachine guns is almost non-existent, so it is best to maintain consistency in your aim while firing. DMR calibration. This type of weapon has 3 categories. We will start by calibrating the heavy DMRs. These are the relevant scopes. This category of DMRs has a fairly difficult to control recoil, so it's best to focus on consistently controlling it with decent precision. Choose the Mark 14 to calibrate their sensitivity. You have to repeat this method with all the relevant scopes, but I will demonstrate it to you with the ADS scope. First, use this basic drill to improve your accuracy. Adjust your aiming sensitivity and focus on shooting only at the white center circle. The value that you are going to obtain with this exercise will not be final. It will serve as a basis for further calibration in the next exercise. Shoot the target at a controlled speed. Remember that this exercise's purpose is to calibrate the aiming and animation sensitivity in conjunction. The two have to be the same all the time. Make sure you can shoot accurately in the air of the black circle at least 10 times in a row without any problem. That way you'll know you have correctly calibrated your sensitivity. Finally, copy the sensitivity to the rest of the heavy DMRs available. From this point on, you're going to modify the sensitivity of the Mark 14 only. The Mark 14 is the only heavy DMR that has full auto mode available, so you're going to use this drill solely to optimize animation sensitivity. Make sure the difference to the aiming sensitivity is not more than 50%, because more than that would affect the stability with controlled tapping. Personally, I increased it by 20%. That way I can maintain good stability with decent recoil control. Now we're going to calibrate the light DMRs. These are the relevant scopes. The caliber used by these rifles is 5.56, so the bullets are light. They travel fast and cause low damage, but the recoil is incredibly stable. Choose the rifle you use the most and copy the sensitivity of the SKS before starting to calibrate it. The 3x and 4x sights will be optimized to fire as fast as possible regardless of accuracy, similar to semi-automatic assault rifles. Keep in mind that even though the focus of this drill is on optimizing quick shots, you need to maintain a speed that you are consistently comfortable with. Make sure to adjust the aiming sensitivity in conjunction with the animation sensitivity. It is now time to adjust the 6x and 8x scopes. For these sights, you have the sensitivity of the SKS set on your light DMR, so you can simply leave it as is. But if you want to fine-tune it, I suggest you use the method optimized for long-range precision. This exercise focuses on adjusting your sensitivity to maintain accurate and constant shots on your target thanks to the low recoil of your rifle. The moment you can shoot the center of the target 10 times in a row without difficulty, rest assured that your sensitivity is correctly calibrated. In my personal case, the Mini 14's low recoil allowed me to lower the sensitivity by 5% to focus primarily on accuracy at long distances. Finally, in this category, copy the sensitivity to the rest of light DMRs. Finally, the only stealth class rifle is the VSS. To calibrate it, you just have to adjust the 4x scope of the general sensitivity. I suggest manually copying the configuration of the submachine guns, but if you want a method, just repeat the one for conventional assault rifles. Calibration for sniper rifles. This type of weapon is divided into 2 categories, bolt-action rifles and lever-action rifles. We will start by calibrating the bolt-action rifles. These are the relevant sights. I'll be using the Kar98 with the 8x scope for the demonstration, but you have to repeat it with all sights. Set up standard training with headshots only at 90 meters away. Now adjust the aiming sensitivity until you can shoot your target's head 10 times in a row without any discomfort. Once you get the perfect value, copy it to the animation sensitivity to keep your settings consistent. Remember to repeat this with all scopes and copy the sensitivity to the rest of the bolt-action sniper rifles. Now the only lever-action rifle available is the Winchester 94. To calibrate it, you just have to calibrate the 3x scope in the general sensitivity section. I suggest manually copying the bolt-action rifle settings. But if you want a method, just repeat the same one that you applied to the Kar98. The same applies to the crossbow, which is not a rifle but has the same focus on precision. Your muscle memory is not used to having different sensitivity settings dependent on the weapon you are using, which is why you have to speed up the process with these training exercises once you have all your custom sensitivity settings set to perfection. Exercise number 1. Combination of weapons. Set up a standard training with these settings. Now use a full magazine from a recoil-focused weapon and finish off with a headshot from a precision-focused weapon. Make sure to try various combinations of high-caliber scopes and weapons of all kinds to get used to the sensitivity changes. The purpose of this exercise is to prepare your muscle memory so that you are not surprised by the change in sensitivity in the same scope during a match. Exercise number 2. Dynamic full auto recoil control. Prepare the standard training with this configuration. Now spray each target until you run out of bullets. Do this only with recoil control focused weapons such as conventional assault rifles. This drill helps you improve your recoil control and keep it consistent regardless of the rifle or scope. Exercise number 3. Single shot accuracy. Set up standard training with these settings. This drill will help you improve your ability to target your opponent's head with precision and speed no matter how far you are. Be sure to do it with precision focused weapons like any type of sniper rifle. Exercise number 4. Uninterrupted target transfer. Prepare 3 exercises in standard training with these set up. Shoot the closest one and transfer your reticle to the next one while continuing to fire until all 3 are eliminated. Make sure to use all kinds of weapons to get used to the differences in sensitivity. Exercise number 5. Precise recoil control. This drill will seem familiar, but instead of one shot, do it with a short burst to train your precision and recoil control on the center target. Exercise number 6. Consistent tapping accuracy. Set up standard training with this setup in a single target at whatever distance you want to practice. Then use a DMR to consistently fire at the head of the target with a moderate tapping speed. This drill trains your ability to control your single fire recoil in order to maintain consistent accuracy in your shots. Exercise number 7. Fast tapping recoil control. Set up a standard training with this setup in a single target at medium range. Use a semi-automatic rifle to fire as fast as possible into a target's body. This drill trains your ability to control the speed of your shots and optimize it with your recoil compensation in order to keep the reticle on your target as much as possible. You can also practice this exercise with heavy DMRs if you wish. It also works for the Mark 14 in full auto mode. You may have noticed that many of these exercises are also present in my general sensitivity video. This is because they are incredibly effective in helping your muscle memory get used to a new sensitivity. The secondary purpose of these training exercises is to help you discover if you calibrated something incorrectly, so you can repeat the process with a specific weapon and scope in order to obtain your perfect sensitivity. You'll basically be looking for calibration mistakes while training. Now it's time to focus on practicing with your new custom sensitivity settings. I suggest you only play arcade mode quick matches for a whole week in order to get the most combat experience and thus improve your skills with the new sensitivity.
Toma.